Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera to Madam Jannah. Today we will present about bioprospecting. First of all, I will introduce my group members is Narmata, Aina Najla and me, Naqib Aiman. Okay, this is article by Han Svarstad. Okay, the title from Norway to Novartis, close porin, from Tolispochlidium inflatum in an open access bioprospecting regime. Okay, so I will describe about issues of bioprospecting. Okay, Tolispochlidium inflatum was collected at Norway in 1969 by Dr. Hans Peter Frey, worked as a biologist. Dr. Frey did not request for any permit when collecting the soil samples at Norway. There was no prior informed consent by Norwegian government and no papers were filed at customs. Dr. Frey's action invite the anger of the Norway government for taking soil samples without any permit in Hardangervidda National Park. Dr. Frey was arraigned in court for his action, which affected the country's sovereignty rights. When the trial in court reached its end, the court has ruled that Dr. Frey is innocent because it is difficult to conclude that Dr. Frey violated Norwegian law when he removed the soil samples from Norway. It's true that penal court formally applied to his act, and it is possible, although not probable, that the regulation of plant export apply, and no regulation of access to biodiversity aim at securing benefit sharing at that time. Okay, so open access regime indicate that there was no sharing of benefit with the sources country from the sale of drug derived from Novartis based on cyclosporin. Estimate a loss of sources country profits compared to current norms and expectation regarding bioprospecting. 2% of the annual royalty would be a reasonable claim in this case, and in 1997 the amount was US 24.3 million. Such benefit, for example, can be considered for conservation, scientific development and healthcare. Among them is the lost benefit of science capacity building. Norway scientists and institutions were not invited to participate in collection, research or development. The universities in Norway are still not deriving many benefit from the corporate application of biodiversity of medicinal development. Secondly, lost benefit in conservation. Novartis and Sandoz have ever give money directly to conservation effort to Norway government. Although Norway is a wealthy country, there are many conservation tasks are not conducted because lack of funding. For your information, Novartis and Sandoz is a company of pharmaceutical. Okay.
Bioprospecting is defined as a systematic and organized search for useful products derived from bioresources including plants, animals, microorganisms, and etc. that can be developed further for commercialization purpose and overall benefits to the society. Bioprospecting is all about looking for these special plants and animals, such as plants, fungi, animals, bacteria, and plenty of other organisms containing chemical compound that could benefit for all of us. The search is also on an important genes that can be used for our own benefits. Bioprospecting has also included research conducted into indigenous knowledge about the use of biological resources. These are some examples of successful bioprospecting, such as opium poppy, white willow tree, spoiled sweet clover, and Madagascar periwinkle.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nuraina Najla binti Nashuha. I will talk about positive and negative impacts of the bioprospecting. The first one is positive impact towards individual. The first one is improving human health through both medicines and better nutrition are key focal areas. Second is has a key role in maintaining ecosystem, playing a critical role in nutrient cycling, decomposition, and various obligatory symbiosis. In addition, fungi provide various benefits to human ranging from fermentation, controlling agricultural pathogen, and antibacterial compounds to novel biochemical products. The medicinal product derived from T. inflatamus, a case that shows how immensely valuable fungal biodiversity sometimes can be in medicinal and economic terms. Next is negative impacts towards individual. First is time-consuming, high risk of expected return, and even the most advanced legal frameworks often fail offer sufficient protection to traditional knowledge. Next is positive towards society. The first one is better education and employment avenues. Many studies have suggested that if the bioprospecting search is based on the information and knowledge from local people, then the value of bioprospecting benefit will be higher. Next is negative impact towards society. The first one is the pharmaceutical companies cheat her local people, those who maintain the indigenous species. They don't give proper economical share to them. When biodiversity or related knowledge is collected without permission from the owners of these resources and then patented, it is known as biopiracy. Next is loss of benefits in the Norway Novartis case. Environmental economists and others have used a range of different strategies to calculate the economic value of biodiversity and bioprospecting for medicine. Thus, we ask what royalty rate would have been realistic and reasonable to demand in the Norway Novartis case. Data on royalty rates are scarce as this is usually considered as information confidential to the parties. Therefore, expectation can vary considerably. Next is positive impacts towards law. The first one is how protects developing countries and indigenous groups through protocol such as prior informed consent (PIC). PIC requires an understanding of what the researcher or company is doing within the community. It also requires the bioprospector to enter a written agreement with the community, stating that the community understands what will be taking place. Usually, other benefits sharing provisions are also discussed during the PIC process and can be put into a contract with the native tribes or landowners. Without PIC protections, individual bioprospector can independently contract without the landowner's permission and without fully explaining what the bioprospector will do on the land. The negative impacts towards law. The first one is lack of political will within government, which impacts coherent implementation of ABS regulation and delays the process of PIC is being seen as a major problem by many researchers and industry. According to a study undertaken by Muller, the absence of a clearly identifiable authority for negotiation and prior informed consent (PIC) was quoted by German companies as one of the most common problems related to bioprospecting. The second one is lack of legal clarity. There is a need for clearer, more specific rules on how origins of samples and IK are recorded and their benefits shared both nationally and abroad. The commercial benefit should be accruing to those who discovered the active ingredients or the biotech company able to identify or improve on this key ingredient. The last positive towards country is the first one is it promotes innovation, helping countries to develop new pharmaceutical products. It also favors employment opportunities related to natural products. Next is conserve and develop biological resources for sustainability. Sustainable use of biological resources means finding new drugs, crops and industrial products, while conserving the resources for future generations. Since Convention on Biological Diversity (CBD) recognizes the sovereign rights over biological resources, it established the concepts of bioprospecting under article, which can be read with 15, 7 and 19 of the Convention on Biological Diversity (CBD). The next is negative impacts towards country. Is lack of data concerning actual and potential earnings from bioprospecting. In the present situation, it is useful for decision makers to have some indication of a source country's possible earning in a case of a major finding. The chances for a hit from any collections are small. Besides, development of a new drug takes about 12 years and necessitates investment on average of $231 million. Providers of regulated access to genetic resources may choose to demand benefits primarily in terms of royalty from sales of eventual products or more safely, then can emphasize the demand of more immediate benefits for purposes such as conservation or capacity building.
Okay, next is strategies to deal with the negative effect of issues. Okay, first is ensure the scientific capacity building can be enhanced through the cooperation of all parties. Okay, I hope all parties must join this program because it will give more education about medical development. Yeah, so we must invite the higher education students, for example, universities, polytechnics, or private institution to participate in medical development. Okay, so the students will make the new medicine. Okay, so it will save the cost to the government uh, in medical sector. Secondly is increased law enforcement to ensure the sovereignty rights of a country. Okay, it is very important because this is about sovereignty of a country, sovereignty rights. Okay, for example, we can see Dr. Frey. Okay, Dr. Frey uh, take the soil samples at Norway without any permit from the Norway government. So this is the big issues because of course we need to pay the money to the government if you want to take any sources in the country. So the thirdly is build the best facilities related to nature conservation to ensure ecosystems are not endangered too drastically. Okay, so these facilities will play the rule to save the ecosystem. Okay, these facilities must have complete uh, complete with a research program, and we need to meet with the NGOs. We need to meet the people uh, at the places to give more information about ecosystem or environment. Okay.
So, as a conclusion for this presentation is that despite the limitations and allegations of biopiracy, the bioprospecting with its potential as a rich and important source of new therapeutic agents is an important tool for drug discovery and research. However, the collaborations between the pharmaceutical companies and the countries supplying the indigenous knowledge and medicinal resources should be regulated for mutually beneficial relationship as well as concern their safetyness. Thank you so much for listening.